Is there a interesting direct pointing little dot? No. That is not a laser. Okay. Thanks again for being here. We have 2 more after this.
You know the lingo. Jump. Yes.
You like time?
Yeah, anywhere you
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Laura Metcalf, and I am the chair for the Mesa Public Schools PABDAC Committee. And welcome to this evening. Thank you for taking your time to be here. I do have a little script that I do need to read, so it will go over the format of tonight's evening, and we want to make sure we hear your voices and we hear your questions. So bear with me while I read this. Welcome to the first of 3 hearings for the Planning and Boundary and Design Committee, also known as PABDAC. Tonight, we are here to present the proposed boundary changes, the Wilson, Madison, Jefferson, and Johnson Elementary Schools. PABDAC members are selected by the governing board for 2 reasons. Number 1, to review demographic data, conduct public hearings, and offer recommendations to the governing board concerning changes in the school attendance areas. 2, to offer long-range development plans directed towards towards future school site selection, and to offer recommendations to the governing board resulting in the formation of proposed school attendance areas. Tonight, we are conducting a public hearing regarding the proposed boundary changes. PABDAC is here to listen to your comments, and district staff will answer your questions or get answers for you. We will use your feedback to inform our decision about the recommendation we will present to the board regarding boundary changes. I'd like to introduce our members of the PABDAC board. As I mentioned, I am Dr. Laura Metcalf, and I've been an educator for 30 years, and I have lived here in Mesa my entire life. And I'd like to start with our board members this direction, and then we'll go that direction. So I'd like to introduce our assistant chair, or vice chair.
I'll stay here so it's easy. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Jacob Martinez. I've lived in Mesa my entire life, and I've served on this board for about the last year. So grateful that you're all here and to get your feedback today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Brown. I've been on PABDAC for several years now. All my kids go to Mesa Public Schools, Carson, Westwood, and Emerson.
Hi, I'm Leslie Wolf. My kids all went to Mesa High and Taylor and Keller, and I went to Westwood. Been on this board a real long time.
My name is Mike Steffen. I'm new to the board. I have 6 kids that all attend Mesa Public Schools, and I was born and raised in Mesa. Go Mustangs.
My son graduated from Mountain View, and I graduated from Westwood High School.
Tom Soper. I'm new to the board this year. My wife is a longtime Mesa school teacher. Both my daughters attend Mesa schools.
Meredith Bleak. I am 5th generation from Mesa. I haven't gone very far. And I got to attend Westwood and Mountain View for high school. And I have 3 daughters that all attend Mesa Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Garrett Smith. I'm a couple years on the PABDAC board. I'm an attorney. Don't hold that against me because my wife is a Mesa Public Schools teacher. She's been that for years. She graduated from Westwood High School, and our 5 children all graduated through the Mountain View feeder system. So happy to be a part of this community.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lupita Almanza. It's my first time on this committee, but I was a former educator in Mesa Public Schools, was raised here, and I still have a kiddo that goes to our lovely schools. And sorry to break up the bunch, but Jackrabbits all the way.
So as you can tell, we have a lot of depth and breadth here with Mesa Public Schools and a lot of dedication in a lot of different formats. So let me explain to you what the procedures are for this evening. If you have comments or questions, please use the QR code or see Mrs. Kirby to sign up to speak. We do have some of your questions that we will go through ahead of time, but if you wish to make that decision a little later on, Ms. Kirby would be your best bet. I will call on individuals in the order in which they have signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to share their feedback or ask any questions. Mrs. Kirby will ring a bell at 2-minute, 30-second mark and ring it twice to indicate that your time is up. District staff will answer questions as we go. So if your question is answered and you do not need to speak, just indicate that when I call your name. So there are some of you who have put into the question queue that you choose not to speak, so I will read your question so it is heard. We will start with a brief presentation by Mr. Wing, and then we will allow plenty of time for feedback and questions. And then we'll close with some announcements. So Mr. Wing.
Good evening. I'm Justin Wing, the Chief of Staff. Before I begin with the introduction, I would like to introduce some of our staff here in Mesa Public Schools. Start over here.
Good evening, David Sanders, Chief Technology Officer.
Thank you, David, Dr. Gibbs, I just passed the mic around.
I'm Paul Gibbs. I'm the Senior Program Evaluator and Lead for Strategic Research Partnerships.
I'm Jeff Abrams, current principal of Franklin Accelerated Academy, Brimhall Campus, and Franklin Junior High.
I'm Arlinda Mann, Assistant Superintendent, K-8 West Elementary.
Hi, my name is Monica Mesa. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of East Elementary Schools.
Good evening. I'm Tracy Eastless, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Snyder. I'm the Director of Communications and Engagement.
Hello, my name is Tyler Moore, the Chief Business Officer.
Good evening. I'm Susan Jenny, Executive Director of Human Resources.
Good evening. Teresa Baca, Assistant Superintendent for Student Services.
Christy Glassmeyer, Senior Research Analyst in Business Intelligence.
Thank you. While all of you are special guests here tonight, I have a couple I want to share with you. Thank you for being here. One is Mrs. Laura Olson, Principal, Wilson Elementary. Dr. Joe O'Reilly, former governing board member for 4 years. Dr. O'Reilly. Mr. Hank Hasebe, principal who opened Wilson Elementary. He also is a principal who opened Madison Elementary. He was also a teacher when Benjamin Franklin started. I'm not going to share what year you shared with me, but it was a little bit ago. Last but not least, though, I want to recognize Mrs. Marilyn Wilson. Governing board member for 16 years. She also contributed in a lot of other ways for Mesa Public Schools in the city of Mesa, in addition to schools named after her. Thanks for being here. We do want to go over a presentation. The district folks are here and prepared to answer some of your questions presented later on tonight. But I wanted to go over a bit of information that PABDEC had reviewed, members had reviewed before making their latest recommendation. To begin with, the United States has a significant student enrollment decline, overall decline. National research, this one in particular, shares from 2021 to 2030, there'll be 2.8 million less students in the United States. And since 2021, actually, you'll see that in a little bit before then, Mesa Public Schools has also declined enrollment, and we're projected to continue to do so, such as this research. This is not national, it's also the state of Arizona is on a decline as well. You'll see 2005 in the green going down, and it continues to go down. Mesa Public Schools at its peak, early 2000s, I want to say 72,000, over 72,000 students. Since about 2006, there's been a steady decline, more so after COVID. What about the East Valley? It's not just Mesa Public Schools. Even some what perceived to be growing school districts are also declining in enrollment. Chandler, the Gilberts, etc. And then I had to revise this slide, or Ms. Kirby and I revised this slide today. I don't know if you read the news, but Kyrene School District is considering closing 8 schools and repurposing a 9th, hence the 6 to 7 districts are considering school closures because of this decline of enrollment. Mesa Public Schools, we want to avoid closing schools as much as possible. That's more of our last resort, which means we need to be creative and open to other ideas to maximize our school campuses to avoid school closure. I don't know if it was a year ago, but there were parents who spoke at the governing board requesting the district look into expanding our Franklin model from a K-8 to a K-12 school system, school model. We surveyed Franklin parents. You'll see here it's highly favorable with a net promoter score of 42. High interest from our Franklin parents to extend to a K-12 setting. Here's another survey result. Would you, as a Franklin parent, send your kids to Franklin High School? You'll see a strong interest in Franklin families to expand the K-12. That said, Franklin Brimhall has 55 classrooms. And if we were to move to a K-12, we would need 69 classrooms, more for special areas. So over 70 classrooms. They don't have the capacity. So we had to look into what other campus can we leverage for this approach. We looked at 4 school districts. I'll show a little bit more of the rationale in a second and also some visuals for you. Wilson was chosen as a campus for a variety of reasons. And as a result, PABDEC reviewing the boundary changes if Wilson is impacted and going to that Franklin at Wilson K-4 setting, where would the Wilson boundaries change? And I'll share the recommendation PABDEC has made to you. Briefly, here's a map. We have 4 elementary schools near Franklin Brimhall currently. A couple of things we looked at is proximity. What's close to Franklin Brimhall? Okay. We also looked at the student enrollment decline. I'm going to share with you in a second a chart that shows in a 5-year period Wilson's enrollment declined by 40%, close to 40%. We also looked at, what schools have a self-contained program, other specialized programs. We looked at schools that have the capacity to take on a K-4, potentially K-5 setting. Then we also identified, we still don't know why, but if you notice there's that to the northwest above Johnson, that's a Wilson boundary. So students pass Johnson Elementary currently to attend Wilson. Honestly, no one can figure out the reason why this was decided, whenever this was decided. Perhaps somebody knows and they can share with me on the side. But nevertheless, we also consider that as well. I shared with you briefly that in a 5-year period, Wilson has declined considerably, about 40%, which is the highest of those 4 elementary schools. 21-22, there were about 570 students overall. This year, we're projected a little over 373. As of a week or 2 ago, they were at 349. That could change by a couple here or there, but it's in decline. 70 6th graders right now, 41 kinder, and 70 is the largest class. So we already know going to next year that enrollment will be declining at Wilson even more. Again, a visual, just of the 4 elementary schools of our current. Then the proposed boundaries voted on by PABDEC on August 18th. So you'll see here that unique area that attended Wilson, that would go straight down and attend Johnson Elementary, closer to Johnson anyway. Then Madison, it's almost a straight line going down. That Wilson area will go to Madison, then the Johnson to the east. What about capacity at these three schools? We are no different than other districts. However, we're wanting to exhaust our efforts before consider school closure, while others just go straight to the school closure part. We have smaller schools throughout Mesa Public Schools. Wilson's closest to Brimhall. I already shared with you the decline. But what this would also do is put more students in the other three campuses as well. What is their capacity to take on more students? They have opportunities to take them on and still have a remaining balance that they can take on more based on capacity of the school. I'll tell you right now, this was based on projections going into this year. Now that we're a month into the school year, our research and evaluation department is reanalyzing this, and there'll be even more capacity based on our enrollment. Transportation will be a frequent question, understandably. This visual, this shares with you the current transportation procedures and how it would be applied to each school. So Johnson, if you're in that circle, you're within a mile from the school. You would not be transported anything outside. You would get transported. Same thing with Madison and Jefferson as a visual. If the question comes up on transportation, we'll bring this visual back up. You can see as well. Staffing, while not every decision is made, because there are some domino effects, the K-4 teachers from Franklin will come to Franklin at Wilson. Okay. Though we are planning for an expansion or more enrollment, which means more teacher allocation will be provided to Franklin at Wilson K-4. So there's some potential for teachers to remain on this campus if they choose to teach that Franklin model. Office staff will remain, the facility assistant will remain on campus. They're more tied to a campus than a model or a school. Teachers who wish not to remain at Franklin and Wilson in the Franklin model, they'll be put into what's called an involuntary transfer, meaning we'll find a teacher position for them for next school year, but it'll be at a different school. Mr. Abrams, I would like you to briefly go over the Franklin School model. I think I have 2 slides for you.
Thank you. Thanks for attending this evening. Franklin Schools, we're a back-to-basic traditional school. We're a parent choice school, and really the original parent choice school in Arizona. It was developed, I will date it, in 1978, and it was created by parents, staff, district support for parents who wanted a different type of program for their students. So some of the key components of our program is the delivery of instruction. Whole group instruction, direct instruction is the primary model. Students are individually accountable for their learning throughout the school day. Our dress code is different than the district dress code. So we follow the current district dress code, but then we have a little bit higher expectations as far as some different components of dress. Academic expectations, we're an accelerated school. So students that start in kindergarten work through kinder and first grade curriculum during that kindergarten year. And then from that point on, they're always reviewing their current grade level standards and being exposed to the next grade level standards. So they're working at that accelerated pace, also spiraling and reviewing content regularly throughout the school year to make sure there's that mastery after many, many exposures. Student work, homework, very clear expectations, nightly homework, parental involvement with accountability, signing homework sheets. Everything has a very strong structure to it, from one class to the other class. Minutes, allocated time is consistent amongst those grade levels for homework, for schoolwork, and for the instructional minutes for each content area throughout the school day. For physical activity and specials, it is a little bit different than in neighborhood schools. Students will have physical education twice a week. They'll have general music twice a week. We do not have art led by an art teacher. Art is done by their classroom teachers on Fridays. And then we have a library computer class 1 day a week. So a little bit different structure there. And then our grading scale and the periods are a bit different. So there are 6 grading periods we have throughout the school year. On average, they're 6 weeks long. And then our grading scale is accelerated. So A's would be a 94 to 100, Bs 86 to 93, and then it continues there. We also have effort grades for some of the lower grade levels in certain subject areas that all our staff go over very thoroughly with our parents. A big component and a key component, and sometimes we say the most valuable component, is that partnership with home, partnership with parents, and having that education and helping with the education for their students. So you'll see some areas here. We have a parent organization that are so dedicated and support really all non-academic areas of our school, and they have requirements for parents for committees to sign up. Every family signs up for 2 parent committees. Before parents can enroll in our program, there is no application, so there's no application for entrance, but there are parent requirements, and I think it'll be a little more on the next slide, but there'll be a introductory video parents watch. They sit down and do a principal talk with myself, and then they observe in the classroom for 2 hours. So those are the requirements, 3 requirements for registration. And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Wing.
Mr. Abrams. As the case, the district every year looks at specialized programs at locations, and again, maximizing our campus is. There's potential of moves, and so we're just trying to be transparent to say that we haven't analyzed all of it yet, but we're looking at, there could be a potential move of our autism program from Madison, another region school, our preschool program to have a move. This is done every year as a review, as a whole district review of specialized programs and their locations. With that, Dr. Metcalf, I'm handing it over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Wing. At this time, we will be going through the questions that have been submitted. If you have submitted your name, I will read your name, and you are welcome to speak into the microphone that Mr. Wing will bring to you in the center. There at the, I guess that would be the, you go to them? Okay, all right. And then the microphone will come to you and you can read your question. Our first question is Susie Salcedo. Is Susie here? Okay, there she is.
Very nice. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. It's very nice that you give us the opportunity to express our concerns and our questions. I appreciate that. My name is Susie Salcido, and I'm the nurse here, and I had something to read. Is that okay if you hold my...
Somebody dropped this, so you have to speak.
Oh my goodness. All right. I understand that Franklin schools have an accelerated curriculum, that they have great expectations from students, and that we evolve because our numbers are low. I agree on improvement too. What does it mean to improve? The situation here is, if we're becoming a Franklin school next year, and me not knowing if I'm going to be here next year. But hear from me. As you, I also raised my family here in Mesa Public Schools. My son now works for a company that makes aerospace parts. My daughter attends NAU. She's getting her bachelor's in psychology. And I got my nursing degree at MCC. You can say that we are all products of Mesa Public Schools. I have been working at Wilson for about 9 years or 10 years in the Mesa district. I have been here during COVID, which you saw. It was very difficult. There was a lot of documenting, a lot of assessments. And we didn't have a health assistant here, so I was working alone. And here on a daily basis, we work with families going through some difficult times, like losing their home or a loved one. Some with medical or economical needs, families who suffer with mental health issues. And I do advocate for those families. Some of our staff raise their own kids here at Wilson, and they continue to work here after decades. I feel blessed to work for the Wilson community because we help each other. We work in conjunction and receive support with our local Mesa Police Department, the fire department. We have a local church that donates gifts and backpacks. We have a dental school that provides free dental care. We have Ms. Wilson, who always supports us here. We help each other, and basically what I do is just connect the dots. I connect the need with the resource. And being bilingual really helps. In my role as a school nurse, I don't see students as a grade or a number. I see them as a whole person. We believe in supporting students' health, social, and emotional learning needs. And I know that when we meet those needs, we can raise the bar for our students' expectations. When students feel supported with a structure and an environment of consistency, they can thrive and discover their true potential. And when we help and support each other, we become a better community. I, as the parents, as all the parents here, believe in life improvement. One more thing. In progress, and my question for you is, what does improving us means to you?
What does it? As a nurse, I think you do more than connect the dots. Thank you, Susie. What does improving mean to you? Anybody like to answer that? I guess I'm going to be answering that, Susie. Going back to the rationale of why we're making this proposal, it's really about avoiding closing schools and maximizing our campuses. And that's what our priority is. And so we are going to have to be creative with it. We have a strong interest from a parent group who wants to expand Franklin. We don't have the capacity at Franklin Brimahall to do it. We have to look at a different campus. And while I understand not everybody's appreciative of it, the rationale I shared earlier showed about a proximity, the decline of enrollment that's impacting Wilson currently campus, and really maximizing this facility was important to us.
Thank you very much. Our next question was submitted, and this individual does not wish to speak, but I will read the question. If I lived in the present Wilson attendance boundaries, would I have legacy status for my child to attend the new school? I understand there's often a wait list for the school, and many seats go to families that are already have children in the schools.
We are prepared as if all of Wilson families want to attend Franklin at Wilson K4. I shared earlier K4, potential K5. The initial plan was to move to a K5, which curriculum based, not my expertise, makes more sense, and then a 612 for Brimhall. We're making it a K4 to allow for opportunities for Wilson families to remain on this campus, but it will have to adhere to that Franklin model as Mr. Abrams shared. Anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Wing. Absolutely. The Franklin model, you saw the slide up there that Mr. Abrams shared with you, the parent involvement, the parent talks, the tours, the commitment from the parents, all of those things. If Wilson parents are willing to partner with us in that, absolutely. They're welcome to join the Franklin family. But it's not going to be an automatic, because you're at Wilson, you just roll over into the Franklin program. You as parents have to agree and be willing to partner for that to happen.
All right, our next question, again submitted, the individual did not want to speak, but I shall read the question that has been submitted. Why should Wilson students be moved to other schools? If Franklin is expanding, why aren't other schools being considered for that model?
Other schools were being considered. The 4 elementary schools I shared with you. But again, there was the rationale of looking at a school that's closest to Hall, because if we're expanding to a K-12 as family, the proximity of the schools was important. We also looked at the uniqueness of the boundaries, the current Wilson one, where they're actually closer to Johnson. They're passing Johnson to come to Wilson. Again, a decision made a long time ago. I wasn't there for the rationale, don't know it. And also the decline of enrollment at Wilson is greater than the elementary schools, the neighboring elementary schools. So look for the rationale for it.
Thank you very much. Again, another question that was submitted. The individual chooses not to speak, but I will read the question for your edification. If Wilson Brimhall is to prevent Gilbert Chandler Charter Schools from taking Mesa students, why isn't there more efforts for schools to have Franklin-style curriculum?
I don't know if I totally understand the question. I apologize if I do not get it right. Other things to consider, about 2,300 of our students in the Mesa Public Schools boundaries attends Gilbert. About 800 of their students attend Mesa Public Schools. What PABDEC was, it was shared with PABDEC at a open meeting on August 18th. The number of students leaving Mesa Public Schools to go south to attend Gilbert 1. Strategically, Gilbert put in a school. What was the advanced? They strategically opened up a school, an advanced academy school, to target our, to target our students. And what we're doing also here, going back to that proximity and the rationale, is we want to attract our students back, and we also want to retain our wonderful students who attend Franklin. Not 100% of Franklin students after 8th grade attend Mesa Public Schools. I think 15% don't even attend Mesa Public Schools. And so this is an opportunity for us to, yep. Oh, I'm sorry. About 15% of 8th graders do not attend Mesa Public Schools at all, even Franklin K-8. That's correct. Well, we don't know. We don't have all the data of identifying where they're going.
Thank you. I'd like to call Marilyn Wilson, who would like to ask a question.
First of all, thank you all for being here. Wonderful to see Hank, who was the first principal here. Anyway, thank you, PABDEC people, other people from the district for taking your time. I have enjoyed coming to this school for 27 years. Thank Mr. Hasebi first invited me. I've loved coming when I've been invited for things like the first day, Battle of the Books, concerts, awards, whatever. So it's been an important part of my life, a little like a grandchild because you just get in on the fun part, not the other part. I like schools. I like neighborhood schools. I like choice schools. 2 of my grandchildren have gone to a choice school in Mesa. My concern is, how is the notification going out? The way I see this is basically a school closing. The neighborhood school is closing. It's not like you can move into the neighborhood and know you're going to come here. So it's closing. This is the way I'm thinking of it. And a new school is coming in, of which he's explained free to the various curriculum. So how is this being communicated? As I've read some of the policies and regulations and trying to understand, one place it said written communication had to go out to parents, another in the mail. Has that happened? I don't know. Do people read newsletters? I have read the newsletter. I've read a very good click on this and get some answers. Do people do that? I just am wondering about the first, I happened to be here the first day of school. The little boy just came. He got on the bus. He wasn't enrolled, but he just came. Happens the first day here. It's not my problem, except that I just want people to be aware of what's happening so that they make an active choice.
Thank you. I can have Mrs. Snyder share with you some of our communication strategies we have done and will continue to do.
Hi, everyone. We've sent out messages to families via Parent Square. The principal has sent out messages in her newsletters. And additionally, we did send out a mailer, which you all should have gotten. So those are the ways that we've communicated to our families, and we'll continue to do that as the process goes on. So there was a message that went out as a reminder for the hearing tonight. It went out on yesterday as a reminder, and the time before as well. So we also had one a week prior to that too. And then there was multiple messages within the newsletter as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chelsea Alicio. Okay. Thank you.
To trade mics with you.
Hello, thank you all for being here. Thank you, PABDEC. Thank you, staff and parents. So my name is Richard Alicio. We've been here in the neighborhood for about 15 years. We have lots of kids that come to this school over the years. We have 9 in total. Our youngest just started kindergarten here. So this all started because parents wanted a high school at Franklin Brimhall. That's what I've been told. That's kind of what got the ball rolling with this process. Also, the district is in a financial loss and trying to recuperate some monies, and they don't want schools closing. I get it. I understand financially what the consequences will be. So my question is, the parents want an accelerated academy at Franklin that's going to offer the exact same programs you're going to find at Mesa High or Westwood or Mountain View, except you're not even going to find dual enrollment. Based on the projected programs offered at the Franklin High School, you will not have dual enrollment, which you can get at Mesa High School. So really, is it advantageous to have a Franklin High School when you have all the same things at Mesa High School just down the street? Also, there's going to be a Shepherd High School, which is another smaller high school, 7 through 12. Why don't we start with one high school in the district that's a smaller high school with an accelerated program and see how that does for us, instead of trying to start 2 right off the bat? So those are some concerns I have, because if we start with Shepherd High School, 7 through 12, parents have the choice to take their kids to that school instead of starting with the Franklin High School. Also, Franklin is a parent choice school. Coming here to this community, to this neighborhood, I no longer have a choice. Based off the projections, my kids will go to Madison. I'm outside of the 1 mile radius. I have to drive my kids to Madison across Southern. I live seriously 100 yards away from this school. My kids cannot walk here if I don't want to be part of the Franklin model. And honestly, I've chose not to be part of the Franklin model because I don't think it fits for everybody, and that's true. I don't like that model. But by not choosing that, my kids have to drive in a car. I have to figure out how to get them to Madison. What are we doing to the neighborhood school? It's no longer becoming a neighborhood school. My choice is taken away. By catering to those who have a choice as a parent choice school, it takes the choice away from a whole population of individuals. I've seen the stats. I've had several discussions with the superintendent. I know all the why, all the numbers, but really, is that what we want to do? Is that what we want to do to our population, to our community? I mean, you guys have that decision to make. The board has a decision to make. I'm just one person, one small voice of many. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. And in case I misspoke, if you're outside of the circle but in the school district boundary or that school boundary, you will be provided transportation. Okay. 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 I just wanted to clear up in case I misspoke. I understand. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next question.
Mr. Wing, Ryan Dixon submitted a question. He did not want to speak, but I will read the question for the audience. What do the educators from both schools, particularly the teachers, think about the proposed changes? Can we hear from some of them?
I mean, anybody want to speak on our listening sessions with the schools? Principals? I'll start with Mrs. Olson. Is that all right? Then Mr. Abrams. Thank you.
I've spoken to all of my teachers, and none of them are interested in teaching at the Franklin model. It's very important that our philosophies of teaching are matched with our schools, and so most of them would like to be on campuses where students are involved in hands-on learning and collaboration with their peers.
Thank you. Mr. Abrams?
Yeah, it's an ongoing dialogue, and I think we all know change is hard. And when change isn't our idea, it's extra hard. And that goes for our staff as well. So, you know, there's understanding as to the why. And obviously it's a different conversation when you're leaving a school to another campus and the process is a little more streamlined. So for some, but you know, there's always that anxiety, there's always that curiosity and the what if. So I'm thankful that the district is moving along and communicating as thoroughly as they are, because communication helps to clarify rumors or speculation. And you know, as that continues, then I think that helps everyone with the process. But it is challenging for all.
And the question I received from teachers the most was, am I going to be laid off, reduced in force? And public schools does have a reduction in force policy, and if we had to go that route, it would not be applicable to a change in schools, et cetera. It's usually based on evaluation results and things like that. So by doing this, it's not going to cause a reduction in force of Wilson teachers, just to clarify.
Thank you. Our next question, the individual chose not to speak, but I will read the question for the audience. What is the timeline for Wilson staff to be hired elsewhere in the district? And will the Wilson staff have a priority before volunteer transfers?
I'll just share the typical structure for involuntary transfer process for teachers, because we have other teachers where, due to enrollment, there may not be a need for 4 third-grade teachers at a particular school. There may only be a need for 3 teachers. I know it's a little different than the Wilson situation, but that occurs every year. And the involuntary transfer allows those individuals to apply for our other school teacher openings. Typically takes place in February. It is taken prior to allowing external candidates from applying. Typically through our attrition, we'll have because we're a large system, a large organization, a large school district still, despite the enrollment, we're still the largest district in Arizona. We will have opportunities for teachers to find a home going into next year.
Thank you. Our next question, also the individual chose not to speak, but I will read the question. Classified staff, are we going to have a position? Since Franklin Brimhall staff is coming to Wilson, are we out of a job?
I already shared a couple of positions we know will remain. There may be others that remain as well. I will share that we have over 100 classified positions open today. So we'll do our best to try to find a position within Mesa Public Schools for all classified folks. We'll have enough positions for them. It'll be more of their interest. We do have some prior to interviews procedures for classified. Typically takes place in the spring when we have known job openings for the following school year. So human resources will be communicating with classified staff regarding that. Yep.
Wilson is a Title I school, and so they have additional funding to hire a lot of instructional assistants and additional support in the classrooms. Franklin schools are not, and so that is one of the reasons why it can't be a one-for-one, the classified staff that works in the classroom with students just staying here at Wilson, because the Franklin model likely will not have the funds to hire all of the additional staff that Wilson's able to hire.
Yeah, we know the school office will remain and the facility assistant. I'm going to make an assumption on the nurse as well. There are some fixed staffing that is provided to every school, regardless of the model of the school, even regardless of the grade levels of those schools.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is submitted by Ashley Phelps. She has chosen not to speak, but I will read the question. Why is all of this based off of one survey? Shouldn't there be more definitive numbers before affecting so many kids at now 5 campuses?
We did host 2 Franklin listening sessions. And I was not present, but I was made aware that combined over 350, approximately 350, I should say, not over, approximately 350 family members attend. And just from discussing with Mr. Abrams, there's still a strong request for the Franklin go from K-8 to K-12.
Thank you. Our next question is submitted by Brooke Cook. She has chosen not to speak, but I will read her question. The Franklin principal stated at the Franklin High info meeting that they were working on transportation and want to prioritize having both schools start at a close time of convenience for families. If that occurs, how will that affect nearby school, such as changing other school start times, etc.? Will prioritizing convenience for Franklin families have a potential negative domino effect for neighborhood school, especially with extended transportation needs for all schools affected with these boundary changes?
No, I think I understand it, and somebody can chime in as well or add to it, but school start times, just in general for school districts, it's really transportation is really the primary reason for start times. Otherwise, every school would start at the same time, just not enough drivers, not enough buses, et cetera. So what I will share is, while we don't have the start times for next school year for all of our schools, we do have all of our departments looking at the impact of this move, including transportation. So transportation is already engaged in looking at what can be done for transportation and aligning. Oh, Mr. Moore, would you like to add?
Add a few things. Yeah, we understand transportation's a big strain on our district resources right now. Really close. Okay, there we go. Transportation, we understand, is a big strain right now on our district resources, and so we're still working through a lot of those configurations, and nothing is finalized right now. But we will, one school over another, we're going to work to make sure everything's equitable from a transportation standpoint, and not affect Johnson, I think, was one of the schools notated in that over another school. So still in discussion, nothing's finalized on that, but we're evaluating all those options.
We'll share in a little bit, but on our web, we have a web page designated for this with an FAQ. So we'll continue to receive questions through our hearing sessions. We'll add the questions. We'll also be responding with the answers to come along too.
Our next, excuse me, our next question submitted, but the individual chose not to speak. Was there a public comment period before this meeting and the school's closure announced, potentially causing a more significant drop in enrollment used to justify the closure?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Certainly. Was there a public comment period before this meeting and the school's closure was announced, potentially causing a more significant drop in enrollment used to justify the closure?
This is the first of 3 hearing sessions. This is the public format to have this discussion. Late September, PABDEC will meet again. And while they voted on this option that I shared with you, hence the hearing session to review it, they will have a vote in late September, September 29th, they'll vote to what they're going to recommend to the governing board. So this is the opportunity, and the next 2 school hearings next week will be the opportunity for the public to make comment.
Our next question was submitted by Heather Grant. She chose not to speak, but I will read the question. Wilson campus does not physically support the amount of Franklin students. Why was the smallest school chosen for this instead of any of the other schools that would fit Franklin as a whole school?
None of the neighboring schools would fit Franklin Brimhall. Brimhall Hall was the largest school in this area. And then I shared with you earlier the rationale of why we selected Wilson rather than the 3 other elementary schools.
Thank you. Our next question was submitted by Tiffany Isaac. She has chosen not to speak, but here is her question. What is the deadline for this vote, and when will it take effect? My concern is the level at which students will be learning and having to readapt to learning somewhere else at other schools or Franklin. What is the plan to get current Wilson students caught up with Franklin's learning curriculum? Also, will Franklin be providing transportation? How does the lunch program work for Franklin as Wilson has free lunch for all students right now?
Okay, there's multiple questions within that. So we may do
Want me to
one,
break it
maybe
down?
do one at a time.
Sure. All right. The
Please.
first question,
Me.
what is the deadline for this vote and when will it take effect?
So we'll be hosting two other hearing sessions at two of our other campuses next week. PABDEC is meeting on September 29th to vote on whether to make changes to their previous recommendation they made on August 18th to keep it or change it. Then before winter break, I want to say late October, October 23rd, PABDEC's recommendation will be going to the governing board for their approval or not. It'll be up to the governing board to decide then on October 23rd. This will allow us, if it is approved, to over communicate to all the affected families and staff.
The next question in this bank of questions is, what is the plan for current Wilson students to get caught up with Franklin's learning curriculum?
Could use some assistance on this one.
So whenever students that come to our school that are new at any grade level, then teachers work with those students. We have interventions during the day, tutoring before or after school. So we have different students at all different times of the year and all different grade levels that start and join the Franklin program. And we assess to see where they are, areas of strength, areas of need, and address those to the best of our ability. So any students who would choose to enroll at Franklin Brimhall tomorrow or next semester, we follow that same process.
Thank you. Next question in this bank of questions. Also, will Franklin be providing transportation?
This is more, I don't know if you want to add, but we'll be following our current transportation guidelines for all the schools. That'll remain consistent.
And the final question, how does the lunch program work for Franklin as Wilson has free lunch for all students right now?
I'm going to try this first and then somebody can tag or add on to it. Wilson currently, all students receive free breakfast and lunch. Those who attend Jefferson, the same thing will be applicable. Those who attend Madison, that will be applicable. Those who attend Johnson will have to fill out a free and reduced lunch application. Is that what it's called? An application. And that'll be processed and applied there. If this were to be governing board approved, we will certainly be strongly communicating to the now Johnson families about completing that application for next school year. Same thing with Franklin. Thank you. Same thing with Franklin. They'll have to fill out the free and reduced lunch application. Does somebody want to explain the free and reduced lunch application?
As I said earlier, Wilson is a Title I school. They have a large population of students that qualify for a free and reduced lunch. And so as a result, we call it Community Education Program, CEP, because there's a large number of families that would qualify for eligibility of free and reduced lunch. Therefore, the entire school is given free and reduced lunch. Because Franklin is not a Title I school, they do not have a large population of families as it stands right now that would qualify for free and reduced lunch. They don't fall into that CEP category where every student would then get it. But individual families, if they're eligible, can apply for free and or reduced lunch and get it. So the program would also feed breakfast and lunch here as well. But it would not necessarily be free to everybody if they don't qualify.
Thank you, Mrs. Mann. And from my understanding, what won't be known until later this school year or this summer is whether or not Johnson, if this is approved, they would fall into that CEP now that they pick up part of that Wilson community. That's not known yet. So the free and reduced lunch application will be completed in advance no matter what.
Our next question, the individual chose not to speak. The Franklin principal stated at the FPO meeting that Wilson only has 220 students K4 and that they plan on 60 attending Franklin from Wilson. Can you explain where these numbers came from? Mrs. Mann also stated at the Franklin High School meeting that Wilson only had 278 students. Can you explain why false information was given?
We held 2 listening sessions at Franklin. We held one that was primarily for elementary parents so that they would understand the process. And then the second one was for junior high parents. And in that junior high meeting, I had a slideshow that we used. Unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties at the beginning of that slideshow, and so I couldn't see all of my slides. So it is possible that I misspoke as far as the exact number. But the slide that you saw here today that showed the progression of the enrollment at Wilson declining is the exact slide that I had in that presentation. So if I misspoke and used the wrong number, I am sorry for that. However, the information is the exact slideshow that you saw here tonight.
And as far as the estimate of 60 students, what I explained was out of the 220 students, I think it was 225 that was on the slide tonight, K through 4. Like if there was about 60 students, which is a quarter, like a quarter of those students choosing to enroll, that's a pretty good number. And if a quarter of those students chose to enroll, like we can absorb that with our staffing for pretty much the exact staffing model that we have right now. Is it for sure 60? No, that was just an estimate and an example to use. Whether it was 60, could be 80, could be 100, could be all. Like Mr. Wing had said, the district's ready to absorb every student if they choose. But the number 60 was just an example, and it was about a quarter of the number that we're talking about.
Thank you.
All right, our next question submitted by somebody individual who does not want to read it, but I will. Since Wilson will now be K4, will the 5th and 6th graders at Brim Hall be considered junior high school students? If not, will they still be able to participate in programs at Wilson, such as after-school clubs and such?
Mr. Abrams, you want to tackle this one too?
Through our listening sessions and through our community, 5th and 6th grade students are elementary students. They're elementary students at Mesa Public Schools. They'd be elementary students at Franklin. If they're staying at Franklin Brim Hall, we're going to give them that elementary experience there. We would work extremely closely with the administration here, and also our FPO, our parent organization, is really dedicated to giving those students the same experience in their 5th and 6th grade years, just as they would have at any other time. Ultimately, the district's progression is moving them to Wilson as the room can accommodate, as capacity can accommodate. But 5th and 6th grade students are elementary students in Mesa, and they are at Franklin as well.
We are intention, or next year it will be a Franklin at Wilson K4. It's possible that some of the Wilson families do not select to stay at this campus, attend Franklin, attend the other 3 elementary schools. It's possible the following year this will go to a K5 if capacity is available, and then the 4th graders would just remain here and go to 5th grade. And then for the Franklin Brim Hall, the 5th graders would go to 6th anyway, and they just won't have a 5th. So just to clear that up, that is a possibility depending on the enrollment in the K4 section from the Wilson families, along with the current Brim Hall families.
Our last question, Stacy Becker would like the opportunity to address the committee.
So I know this is a really difficult decision to make, and I appreciate what the district is doing and the difficulty that we're all going through. A suggestion I'd like to offer for the possibility for the district to consider is that I know when Serine and Pomeroy did this, while it's not the same thing, every effort was made for the staff to stay with the students. So while it wasn't the same, the staff went over and joined Pomeroy, and the students went over as well. And I know while our students will be split, I think it makes a lot of sense for our staff to be given priority to go to those schools, to go with our students as much as possible.
Thank you, Mrs. Becker. We do have a human resources representative here who will take note.
Our next question, I will read this question to the administration and to the audience. It was just stated that Franklin Wilson will for sure be a K-4 campus. This is not what we were told.
I mean, I can only share what meetings I've attended, and it's always been shared, K4. The add-on, and that was shared at everything I've been at as well, being transparent that there's a potential that it will go K5 the following year, depending on the enrollment. Yep.
We had the listening sessions at Brim Hall. The question came up of, will it ever go beyond 4th grade? And in our slide, we had an asterisk of if there's room, we'd look at 5th, and if there's room, we'd look at 6th. But the only thing that we could guarantee we would do right out of the gate is a K4. So my apologies if no one heard that or saw it, but it was on the slide. It was said out loud. Mr. Abrams and I have coordinated our communication, and we're both sharing the same message. K4 for sure. If there's capacity, maybe 5. Eventually, we'd love to see K6, but we only can guarantee K4 to start with.
And a reminder, that's because we want to make sure we allow the Wilson families to decide whether they want to remain on this campus.
Our next question is submitted by Heather Grant. I will read the question for her to the audience and to administration. How many students are currently at Franklin K6?
Who has this memorized? I'm going to assume Mr. Abrams has 760 students.
Those are all the questions we have at this time.
Mrs. Kirby, we have time for more if people have more. Okay. What was Wilson's max capacity? You have the number? Dr. Gibbs, they want to hear from you.
The full capacity is 828 when we typically cap our enrollment at 0.9. So it'd be a total of 745.
We do have some additional questions that have been put into the portal.
Okay. If you have additional questions, I see some hands raised. Can you, if you have a phone, can you QR code it just because we can catch up on the ones in time here?
Our next,
or computers if you don't have your phone on you.
our next question is submitted by Kim Fleming, and I will read the question. If this change is not approved, what will happen to Wilson moving forward?
Mesa Public Schools will need to start considering other options neighboring school districts have done regarding our schools. And I can't guarantee anything, but there'll be a review of potential school closures if we don't make efforts, be creative to maximize our campuses currently.
Our next question doesn't have a name, but I will read the question. What happens to playground and cafeteria aids?
That was addressed earlier with the classified. It depends on the school allocations. Some schools have different funding sources. Mrs. Mann shared Wilson's a current Title I, although not applicable necessarily for playground aids. They'll receive an allocation. If the allocation allows for a staff member to remain here, they'll absolutely remain here. The school office and the facility assistant are just like fixed ones that we provide at every school, so that one was a little bit more clear cut. If not, human resources will work with them to find other positions in other schools because we will have positions available. I should share that we have a classified hourly employee association, MESPA, who also assist with trying to land a position for them, but at a different school.
We have another question. Marion Laird. She would like to address the committee.
Hello. I've been a teacher here since 1998, so been here a long time. But had a question both as like a teacher and as a parent. I have kids who attend Wilson, and it doesn't seem to be very transparent to the parents about what is going on. I have not received anything outside of the parent square thing saying that there's going to be a meeting here tonight. And I'm wondering how much parents know about what's going on and when the parents are going to have a deadline to make a commitment that I want to apply to Franklin or I am willing to go move to Madison or one of the other schools. So I'm wondering about that.
Mrs. Snyder, do you want to add in addition to the parent square?
Parent Square is the way that we communicate with our staff and families. Families get it not only through the app, but they get emails, and staff should get it as well. So that is the #1 way that we communicate with our staff and families. We've sent out from the district 2 messages via Parent Square, and then also Ms. Olson, you sent out, I don't know where you went. There you are. I looked right past you. Also sent out some messages as well. And then a mailer went home to the families within all the boundaries that are impacted by this.
Every household would receive a postcard size notifying them of the 3 hearings, regardless if, I think one of the, I know one of them is going to be held at Johnson next week. You still, even those in the Wilson community should have gotten a mailer that informed them of not just this hearing, but the other 2 hearings as well.
We have a
Commitment to the school. I do not believe that has been decided, but that'll be well communicated. Keep in mind, August 18th, PABDEC recommended this option that we're sharing with you today. The hearings are to answer questions and also listen to the public, and then PABDEC will reconvene. Along the way, school district departments are looking at, based on their role, like transportation, for example, we already shared that. Enrollment, registration, like that are being under consideration at this time, but more information will be clear as we progress. There'll be plenty of time for parents, A, to be notified and B, register.
We have another question. Susie Salcido would like to address the committee.
Well, I want to know what Franklin schools are looking, what kind of qualities are looking for a nurse. I've been having really good evaluations, and it seems like it's already decided that I'm moving. So I would like to know what you guys looking for.
I wouldn't draw that conclusion yet because this school also need a nurse. So I shared with you some of the office staff and the facility assistant, the day operations staff members, those for sure. It's likely there'll be other classified staff who remain on this campus. Not everything's just been decided as of today. But we'll definitely inform everybody. Yeah, if a nurse is provided here, the nurse will stay here. Does every school get a nurse? I need assistance on that part, but. So our health services allocation varies based on school population. And so there's, some schools will get a nurse, some schools will get a health assistant, some get a combination of both. And that's reviewed every year based on enrollment changes and things like that. So there's never like a guarantee necessarily, but as long as this school still needs a nurse, the nurse will remain at this school based on that staffing allocation, staffing formula.
We have one more question submitted by Casey Baxter. I will read the question. Just seeking clarification, has the Wilson enrollment capacity that has been shared been updated to reflect the removal of the portables that took place this summer?
Dr. Gibbs. Dr. Gibbs and his research and evaluation team excluded the portables when doing this. analysis.
We have another question. If you're not a title aide, only a crossing guard, playground aide, and cafeteria aide.
So crossing guards, it's typically a partnership with the city of Mesa who puts in the crosswalk and the school district, in this case, Mesa Public Schools. We typically have an agreement that we would provide a crossing guard certain amount of minutes before, a certain amount of minutes after the bell rings. And so the crossing guard, the crosswalk will likely remain, which means the crossing guard allocation will remain as well. The cafeteria
aide and playground aide.
Okay. The playground aide we already responded to. We haven't determined the allocation yet for if this were to be ultimately a Franklin at Wilson, but we will if the PABDEC votes on that recommendation and the governing board approves late October, which Human Resources will then determine staffing allocations. A couple things to note. The Research and Evaluation Department, they project enrollment after the 40th day of the year, and the 40th day is late October. Once that projection is made, and that's for all of the school district, not just this school, Human Resources will then apply our staffing formulas to determine the allocation for every school. Hence why I don't have all of the answers on the application. But what I can share is if this school needs a playground aide, we would just keep the playground aide here. Okay. And all along, HR will be communicating with those affected staff on procedures, and if there is that chance where the staff member will have to be relocated, getting them priority interviews and set up. As I shared, we have plenty of openings even currently now for our support staff, if it meets their interest.
We have another question. I will read the question. Franklin families have been privy to a few different hearings with administration about potential decisions dating back to May. Why have Wilson families not had the same opportunity knowing that it was a possibility that their students would be impacted? Several families found out about potential changes from Franklin families, not the district.
So I believe, and somebody can add to my belief, Franklin, remember the parents engaged the discussion in a public format with the governing board. I'm just going to say a year ago. I apologize if it was 10 months ago or 14 months ago, but last school year shared deep interest of having Franklin K go to Franklin K-12. So the discussions in May was about Franklin K-12. It was not about which elementary school will be needed. There was no discussion about Wilson. I do understand some families and staff speculated on Wilson, and I'm guessing they speculated because of proximity, things like that, but there was no discussion through PABDEC that Wilson was being recommended until maybe July we started having that discussion. Anything to add? Ms. Mesa?
I can also share, we've had individual meetings with parents who have had concerns, as well as attended the PT meeting, and I readily admit that I was able to put in my calendar pretty late, so I'm sorry about that. But at that meeting, we did share information that was requested by families, as well as the link to the website where we really were trying to have as much forward-facing information at that time that we did have. So that was the FAQ website. I think you said we were going to share it in a little bit, to be able to put out the information that we had at that time that we were able to share because of the process.
It was all shared at the governing board, but subsequently, it was after PABDEC meetings. We also met with the Wilson staff late July, again, following a PABDEC and a governing board information. We kind of have to go through the steps before we can communicate to the all staff. So I went to PABDEC, governing board, and then we met with the Wilson staff, but that was late July.
We have several more questions. Next one, I will read the question. What are you going to do about the amount of traffic that will come to this neighborhood, being that this neighborhood has smaller roads compared to Southern? We can't accommodate the amount of cars that start lining up an hour before school gets out.
Anybody want to answer this one? Feel like they heard enough from me, or maybe I don't know the answer to this question. It'll be a question we're going to have to take and analyze and put on our FAQ. Again, all of our departments, nothing's been finalized, nothing been approved by the governing board. So departments are currently strategically looking at how to meet the transportation, the school start times, to avoid some of this. Well, anything else to add? Just duly noted, we'll be looking to that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Next question, I'll read the question. Where do the funds come from for any building improvements / changes needed, such as paint, marquee, etc.? And how much is that anticipated to cost the district?
Like the budget question. So we're making this transition, or anticipated to do this on a very minimal budget. There's going to be no major modifications to buildings. There's going to be no major construction costs. This is literally just a swap of buildings and a use of space conversation. There will be some small signage modifications, but we have a very limited budget. We're not, as we've stated earlier, in a budget crisis. And so this intentional move is to potentially capture more funds via this creative solution. So the construction budget for this is very limited, and there is not going to be major construction in this transition if it were to occur. So.
Our next question, and I will read the question. What about the media specialist? Will they get to stay at their school?
Assuming during the staffing allocations, likely in November and December, following 40-day enrollment numbers and projections, if this school needs a media specialist, that individual will remain on campus, on this campus.
Next question, I will read the question. So if this passes and our Franklin team wants to move over with their Franklin kids, the team here at Wilson would get first pick at the job over the Franklin team, excluding teachers?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, the K-4 teachers at Franklin will come here and they'll be K-4 teachers. We are assuming that Wilson families may have an interest in attending Franklin at Wilson K-4, and so we'll be providing staff for that. And in that case, teacher allocation, for example, are the K-6 teachers currently at Wilson will have priority for those positions if they're interested in it. Otherwise, they would go to that involuntary transfer, and HR will finalize that procedures. Hearing from Mrs. Becker earlier today as with a potential option. But for support staff, this still will be a school. So the school will still need a facility assistant, like our maintenance staff member. They'll still need office staff. They'll still need other staff, and those staff will just remain on this campus because regardless if it's a Franklin school, the elementary school, a junior high school, you still need support staff. About 48% of our staff is classified staff in Mesa Public Schools, so we'll still need classified staff. I just can't guarantee everything based on our allocations and projected enrollments and things like that for some positions, including the Title I aides, because the school wouldn't be a Title I if this is approved. Yeah. So Mrs. Cameo Kirby asked the question, in case you didn't hear it, can human resources, once the staffing allocations are known, have a designated meeting with the Wilson staff to go over some of these questions and with more fine detail, with more known allocations assigned to this school, et cetera? And yes, we intend to do that all along.
There are no further questions at this time.
We do have 2 more hearings. You're welcome to attend those hearings as well. If you have questions in the meantime, you can
Mr. Wing?
Yep.
My apologies. There's one that just posted.
Never mind.
Just like the Wilson nurse knows her families, the Franklin team knows our families, and just like nurse wants to be with her Wilson kids, our kids want the Franklin team. It's a statement.
Okay.
And then there is another person that would like to address. Brian Dixon.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. I live in the neighborhood. We're trying to decide where to send our daughter to kindergarten. And I'm new to I'm new to the drama, I think. I see that this is, I'm a former educator. Actually, I taught high school for 5 years. And so I understand how big of a deal this could be. I just want to say that this does strike me as a good faith effort to resolve a real problem. It's not clear to me what the right solution is here, but I think the best question asked tonight was, what happens if this doesn't pass? And it sounds like we're going to have to come up with some other creative solution to address declining enrollment. And this doesn't strike me as like an awful outcome. And these are just real world trade-offs we have to face. So I personally kind of feel like maybe a pretty good option is showing up in my neighborhood for my daughter, and I wasn't feeling that way about Wilson. But like I said, I'm very fresh to this and kind of low context. But it seems like people are doing their civic duty to get a good school in our neighborhood. So hope they'll consider that.
Thank you, sir.
No other questions at this time.
May pause for a second. Okay. So, Mrs. Kirby, this is our website. We do have a website for potential school opportunities. This will have some information that's shared today. It will have an FAQ as well. Please continue to look at it because FAQ will just grow as we gain more questions, particularly in the next 2 hearings that will be held next week.
Some final announcements to make. Yep. Okay. So the end of the evening announcements, we'd like to thank you so much for coming this evening. Your questions and feedback are very important to this process, and we appreciate each of you. If you have additional thoughts or questions you would like to share, please use the email address boundaries@mpsaz.org to share those. The next hearing will be September 9th at Johnson Elementary School beginning at 5 p.m. This first hearing is adjourned.